I was fired for being 12 minutes late after 25 years of loyalty. The words landed before I could set my bag down. Human resources was already there. Laptop open, fingers hovering. Vivian Cross did not look up from the folder in front of her. 12 minutes, she repeated as if precision could replace mercy. Late is late. I swallowed. There was an accident on the bridge. I came straight here. The folder closed. Explanations don't change outcomes. I tried once, only once. I've been here since the first product shipped. I've slept on the floor during outages. I kept Helios alive when legal froze it and finance panicked. The chair across from me scraped back a fraction. Not an invitation, a warning. Rules don't tremble for anyone. Silence followed. Even HR stopped typing. I'm asking for a review, I said. My voice stayed level. It cost me more than I expected. One conversation, that's all. A pen slid across the table. Termination effective immediately. Standard paperwork. The pen stayed where it was. My name is Marianne Caldwell. I am a principal cryptography engineer. I built the core of Helios with my hands and my head, and a patient I no longer recognized in the room. None of that mattered now. Batch, Vivian said. I unclipped it and placed it between us. The plastic looked smaller than it had that morning. There's an agreement. HR offered. Careful, 2 weeks' pay, non-disclosure. I smiled. Not because I felt anything good, because the moment required control. No. Vivian's gaze sharpened. Everyone's signs. I won't. The chair scraped again, louder this time. You're making this harder than it needs to be. I'm making it clean. I stood. No speeches, no threats. The folder stayed closed. The pen remained untouched. At the door, Vivian's voice followed me tight now. This company runs on discipline. I paused, then nodded. So do I. I left without the agreement, without my badge, without a job. The story you're about to hear is a fictional work created by the writing team at Revenge AITA. It is designed to explore power, consequence, and the quiet moments where choices become permanent. I did not know what I would do next. I only knew what I would not do again. What do you hear after a door closes on 25 years? The phone buzzed once on the ride home, then again. I turned it face down at the kitchen table. My laptop opened without ceremony. Muscle memory carried me to the same password I had typed for years. It still worked. That felt wrong. I let the inbox load. Unread counts stacking quietly in the corner and ignored it. A new notification slid in from Human Resources. Please return company property by end of day. No greeting, no name. I closed it. Another message arrived. This one from a project manager who used to call me at midnight. Are you okay? The cursor blinked in the reply field. I didn't answer. I navigated to an old directory I hadn't touched in years. Not hidden, just forgotten. The label was plain and exact. Helios Inventor Filings. The first document opened to a patent abstract I could recite from memory. The next held early diagrams, margins crowded with notes in my handwriting. A version history scrolled back through my life iterations marked by dates, revisions tracked by me alone. A chat window popped up. Legal is asking where you are, wrote Mara Singh. She had been careful even when we were friendly. They're reviewing ownership language. I typed deleted, then typed again. They should a pause. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, then returned. Did you forward anything? No. Did you change anything? No. Another pause. Then why is finance escalating? I clicked into a draft that had been sitting there for years. The subject line was precise, almost dull. Chain of title clarification. The body was shorter than I remembered. No accusations, just facts, citations, and a request to confirm records. I closed it without sending. The phone buzzed again. This time, it rang. I let it ring until it stopped. A voicemail followed. I didn't listen. Mara's message came back. We need to talk tomorrow. I wrote. A final notification slid in from a generic address. Please sign the attached agreement to expedite severance. 2 weeks' pay. Silence in exchange for compliance. I shut the laptop. I didn't need to explain what I had built. I didn't need to announce what they had missed. I only needed to keep one thing untouched, exactly where it had always been. How many calls does it take to prove someone mattered? The phone woke me before the alarm. I didn't touch it. It kept buzzing anyway, a steady insistence that didn't belong to my life anymore. When I finally turned the screen over, the count stared back at me. 147 missed calls, voicemails stacked beneath them, texts, emails marked urgent. I scrolled once, just enough to see the names repeat. Finance, legal. An executive assistant who had never learned my last name. The phone rang again. I answered this one. Mary Ann. The voice was tight, breathless. We need to clear something up. I'm listening. A pause. Then the words rushed out, brittle with panic. Since when is the 2.4 billion encryption patent in your name? I waited. Not out of cruelty, out of habit. Silence had always made meetings honest. That can't be right, Vivin continued. Helios is a company asset. Everyone knows that. What does legal say they're reviewing? Then let them finish. This is not a time for games. Papers shuffled on her end. Someone whispered. Our partners are asking questions. The bank flagged the licensing schedule. I don't work there anymore. You built it there. I built it. I corrected. Those are different sentences. Her breath caught. If this is about yesterday, it isn't. We can fix this, she pressed. Name what you want. I want the call routed through counsel. Another voice cut in, sharper, controlled. This is Mara Singh, General Counsel. She didn't bother with pleasantries. We need confirmation of your intent. You have the filings, I said. Read them. They reference inventor of record. Yes. They don't assign ownership. Correct. A long exhale. That leaves us exposed. It leaves you informed. Vivin came back on the line. The edge gone now. You could have said something. I did, I replied. Years ago, I put it in writing. Silence again. Not the comfortable kind. Send everything through legal, I added. I'll respond there. I ended the call before anyone could stop me. When the phone went quiet, it stayed that way. The technology was still intact. The code still ran. What they had lost wasn't money. It was certainty. Who owns an invention when no one bothered to ask? The call came through legal this time, not Vivin. We have a situation, Mara Singh began, voice clipped, controlled. Several licensing partners have paused payments pending clarification. Clarification of what? Ownership. I let the silence stretch just long enough. That was always clarified. Not in a way finance can use, she replied. The bank is requesting verification of intellectual property listed as collateral. So they finally read the footnotes. A breath. This isn't a lecture. Marianne, this is exposure. You used the word correctly, I said. For the first time. Another line joined the call. A man introduced himself as outside counsel. Careful and expensive. We've reviewed the public filings. You are listed as inventor of record. Yes, and there is no executed assignment transferring ownership to the company. That's right. Then we need to understand your intent. My intent was documented when Helios was filed. You chose not to finalize it, Mara cut in. We assumed you assumed silence meant consent. The outside counsel resumed. Slower now, without a clear chain of title. Partners are within their rights to suspend payments. The bank is doing the same. How long? I asked. That depends on resolution. Vivin's voice forced its way back into the room, tight with anger. This is sabotage. It's documentation. You knew this would happen. I knew it could, I corrected. That's why I warned you when I opened the old email and read the timestamp aloud. The date hung there. Undeniable. Mara exhaled. We need a path forward. There is one, I said. Formal acknowledgement. Licensing terms, no misrepresentation, and if we don't agree, then nothing changes, I replied. Payments stay paused. Covenants stay under review. Silence followed, heavier than before. Outside counsel spoke last. We advise immediate governance review. The line went dead. I closed the laptop. The technology still existed. The contract still referenced it. What they lacked was the right to keep pretending it belonged to them. What happens when a private risk becomes a public headline? The memo wasn't meant to leave the building. It never does. Someone forwarded it anyway. Temporary pause on external deliverables, pending intellectual property verification. No signature, no apology. My phone lit up with names I recognized, and a few I didn't. Partners who had smiled through quarterly reviews now wrote in clipped sentences, "We are suspending integration until ownership is resolved. Our board requires certainty. Please advise next steps." Human Resources tried next. A formal letter arrived, sterile and aggressive. Cease and desist from actions that materially harm the company. Failure to comply may result in legal action. I read it once, then forwarded it to my counsel without comment. The response went back in a single line. Do not misrepresent ownership. It landed harder than any threat. A follow-up came within minutes. This is not productive. You are creating unnecessary risk. I am describing it. I wrote you created it. Finance broke the rhythm an hour later. Evan Holt, the chief financial officer, joined the thread without introduction. The bank has flagged a covenant issue. Verification required within 48 hours. If unresolved, penalties apply. Vivian appeared finally, in all caps. This is out of hand, I answered privately. It's in motion. You're forcing our hand. You forced it when you made discipline louder than diligence. The typing indicator flickered, stopped, flickered again. We're prepared to defend the company, then defend the truth. I replied, not the story you told yourselves. A new message from legal arrived. Calmer now. We request a meeting to discuss interim licensing. I agreed to the meeting and declined the conditions. No silence clause, no retroactive assignment, no language that blurred facts. Outside the thread, an analyst note circulated, not detailed, just enough. Uncertainty around core technology impacts near-term outlook. The bleed had started. Not catastrophic, not yet, but visible. I closed the email and left the phone untouched. Deadlines had a way of clarifying intent. 48 hours does not forgive confusion. What is a conscience worth when the price finally arrives? Vivian asked for the meeting herself. No assistance, no legal, just a calendar invite marked urgent. I'll be direct, she began. The screen held steady on her face, composed again. Come back, same title, expanded scope. I didn't interrupt. A raise, she continued. Significant equity on top. We'll correct the record internally. Internally, the word did too much work. You want a shield? I said. Her jaw tightened. I want stability. You want someone the board trusts to stand between you and the fallout. Silence, then softer. You built this. You know how fragile confidence can be. I know how fragile honesty is, I replied. That's why it breaks first. She leaned forward. Name the number. It's not a number. Everything is a number, she snapped. 200,000 more. 500. Control your team, your hours. I won't return as an employee. The pause stretched, thin as glass. Then, what do you want? Transparent licensing, I said. Market terms, public acknowledgement of authorship, no retroactive assignments, no silence. Her eyes flicked away. Back. That gives you leverage. I already have it, I answered. This just makes it clean. You're asking me to concede, she said in front of the board. I'm asking you to stop pretending. The typing indicator appeared, vanished. Her voice dropped. If you don't come back, we bleed. You're bleeding because you cut the wrong place. A breath sharp. You planned this. No, I said. I planned for it. Another beat. We'll draft terms, send them through council, and if the board refuses, then nothing changes. Her shoulders sank, just a fraction. You leave us exposed. You exposed yourselves when you made discipline louder than diligence. She nodded once. A decision closing. This isn't over. It doesn't need to be, I replied. It needs to be accurate. The call ended without ceremony. I didn't feel victorious. I felt lighter. Control isn't taken back by noise. It's kept by refusing to step into the same trap twice. Who answers when a board asks the wrong question too late? I was invited to observe, not attend. A courtesy extended through counsel, framed as transparency. The video feed opened to a grid of faces I recognized from quarterly decks and annual retreats. No greetings, no small talk. The agenda is risk governance. The chair began specifically chain of title failures related to Helios. Mara Singh spoke first, careful and contained. The absence of a completed assignment created exposure. That exposure materialized when licensing partners paused payments. A director leaned forward. How long was this unresolved? Mara glanced down. The inventor filings date back several years. Another voice cut in. So this predates the termination. Silence followed. Then Vivian. The termination was unrelated. She said a disciplinary decision. Over what? The chair asked. Tardiness, Vivian replied. 12 minutes. The room shifted. A director's pen stopped moving. Someone muted their mic too late. 12 minutes. The chair repeated, and the individual terminated was the inventor of record. Vivian straightened. Rules apply equally. Governance requires judgment. Another director said, not slogans. Finance entered the frame next. Evan Holt didn't hedge. The bank flagged covenant risk within 48 hours of the disclosure. We are negotiating extensions. And who authorized the use of Helios as collateral without verified ownership? The chair asked. No one answered at first. I did, Vivian said finally. Based on standard practice. Standard practice is verification, the chair replied. Not assumption. A motion appeared on the screen, text precise and cold. Temporary leadership change pending independent review. Vivian opened her mouth, closed it. The vote moved quickly. Names lit green, one red, then another. The tally settled. The chair spoke again, effective immediately. Operational authority transfers at pending review. Vivian remained still, expression fixed. The meeting ended without ceremony. The screen went dark. Justice did not arrive with anger or relief. It arrived as procedure, documented, and irreversible. What changes when you stop asking permission? The documents arrived clean and quiet. No theatrics, no urgency flags, just terms. Your entity holds the license, my counsel said. Non-exclusive, long-term market rate, audit rights both ways. I scanned the page once, then again. Acknowledgement of authorship prominently. No silence clause. Explicitly excluded. I signed where the line waited. The ink dried fast. The company would keep using Helios. They would pay for it. They would never pretend it appeared on its own. The second call came 10 minutes later. Daniel Chen didn't waste time on pleasantries. We want you to architect, not manage. No headcount, no performance theater and autonomy. I replied full. If you say a system needs to change, it changes. Remote your schedule. The number followed written out in plain language. Triple what I had earned before. Not as salary, as consulting fees billed to my company on my terms. I'm not an employee, I said. That's the point. I accepted. The contract slid back across the screen, already countersigned. A final message arrived from Vivian's interim office. The board would consider reinstatement under revised conditions. I forwarded it to counsel, without comment. Do you want to respond? My lawyer asked. No. The filing confirmation pinged next. My company existed now. Name registered, bank account open, authority clear. Helios licensing would do exactly what it said. License, nothing more, nothing hidden. Another email arrived from Human Resources, revised tone. Careful. We wish you success. I closed it. Control didn't return in a rush. It settled in the refusal to step back into a badge. In the signature that bound my work to terms I chose. In the quiet certainty that whatever came next would be built without asking permission. What does failure look like when no one can hide it? The announcement came through a legal filing, not a press conference. Vivian Cross has submitted her resignation effective immediately. No praise, no farewell. The call from counsel followed. Independent review is underway. Governance failures. Chain of title oversight. They're documenting everything. Good. I said they're also renegotiating the licenses at market cost. I replied as written. Yes. Another voice joined the line. Unfamiliar, careful, an interim executive. We intend to continue operations without disruption. You intend to operate lawfully. I corrected a pause. Yes, emails trickled in after that. Not apologies, not explanations, notifications. Revised licensing schedule attached. Updated disclosures forthcoming. Please confirm receipt. I confirmed receipt. Nothing more. A reporter tried once. A voicemail left at my office line. Breathless. We're hearing conflicting accounts about the Helios situation. Can you comment? I didn't return the call. The company released a statement instead. Dense language, passive voice, material adjustments, ongoing cooperation, commitment to transparency. The board chair reached out privately. This should have been handled differently. It should have been handled, I said. Silence settled after that. Not the anxious kind, the settled kind. A message arrived from a former teammate. They're paying now, full rate. Good, I typed back. That's how it works. Another followed, hesitant. Are you okay? I looked at the screen longer than necessary. I'm clear. There were no victory laps, no interviews, no social posts. The contracts did their work without commentary. The licenses generated invoices. The invoices were paid. The noise faded because there was nothing left to argue. The rules were written down, the signatures were in place. Accountability had arrived without spectacle, and it stayed because it was enforceable. What does victory look like when it's permanent? My mornings are quiet now, not empty quiet with intent. The first call of the day comes from my own calendar, not someone else's urgency. Counsel confirms receipts, accounting confirms payments. The licensing framework does what it was designed to do without drama. Invoice cleared, my accountant notes. Full amount. Good, I reply. Archive it. Another call follows. Brief and precise. Architecture review approved. Timeline holds. Then proceed. I don't attend all hands meetings anymore. I don't carry a badge. No one asked me to justify 12 minutes of my life. Boundaries aren't defended here. They're assumed. A message arrives from the interim office at my former company. Neutral tone, final language. All references to proprietary ownership have been corrected. Nothing more is requested. I forward it to counsel. Filed. They didn't fall apart. They recalibrated. The law does that when it's allowed to work. I didn't break the company. I removed the illusion that it could borrow certainty without permission. Later, a junior engineer from my new engagement hesitates before speaking. I want to flag a risk. Flag it. I tell them, it might slow delivery, then we slow delivery. I answer, accuracy first. They nod, relieved. The shift is subtle but real. Power used to be loud, now it's procedural. A final note lands in my inbox from Human Resources. Rebranded, rewritten. We wish you continued success. I close it without response. I keep the rules they quoted to fire me, just not the way they meant. Rules don't tremble. People do. Systems survive when they are built honestly and governed without shortcuts. I didn't win by humiliating anyone or watching a building burn. I won by choosing a structure that could not be undone once it was in place. They fired me for 12 minutes. I removed their leverage forever. Loyalty without clarity is a liability. Protect your work, document your value, and never trade your dignity for convenience. Because the moment you stop asking permission is the moment your choices start lasting.